Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is LDS Reacts, or LDS Reacts. So today I want to highlight this man right here. This is Jared Halverson. He is incredible. He is a scriptorian in every sense of the word. He's a professor. He's taught at BYU. He is on it, man. I want to highlight this because he's got some hefty videos, which I love, and in no negative way. It it's usually the nap time background for my baby, and it's amazing because he has such a calm, gentle way of speaking that it just it puts him right to sleep, and then it's like it's good vibes for the whole nap, But not the point. The point is, I want to highlight something that he says, just in case somebody sees this. This video in particular is 4 hours and 50 minutes long. So I think there might be people who need to hear this who may not click on the video. And this guy is great. His podcast is Unshaken, and he follows the Come Follow Me layout. And just teaches off of that every week. And his insights are awesome. They've really just helped me to understand so many things that I was kind of struggling with, mostly because my reading comprehension of Old English is just not quite there. So, but it's great. So highly recommend, and I'm going to link his channel down below, but I want to highlight this particular part right here. So.
School with a Catholic and a Protestant friend. There were just three of us sitting in class before class started, and it sounds like a good joke starting, right? A Catholic, a Protestant, and a Latter-day Saint sit together in divinity school. Well, they asked, where do you guys fit with the Protestant-Catholic divide? And I just laughed and I said, if you two got married and had a kid, it would be me. If Judaism and Christianity got married and had a child, it would be the restored gospel of Jesus Christ as well. And as they were looking at me confused and looking at each other like, hey, we're not even interested, I get it. I said, well, Catholicism by and large is high liturgy. Very symbolic, the Mass, very rich in ritual. Whereas Protestantism, by and large, is what they call low liturgy. That there isn't as much symbolism. It might be something very simple like bread and water or bread and wine for the sacrament, but for the most part, it's a lot less than what you'd see in a Catholic church or an Eastern Orthodox church for that matter. The Protestantism focuses on the preaching of the word, and Catholicism has a greater focus on the symbolism of the sacraments. And as Latter-day Saints, we're proving contraries, as usual, between those two. And like I said, the same could be said of Judaism with its high symbolic value, its teachings, its focus, and Christianity, which as a whole, compared to Judaism, is much less so. And here we are, trying to combine, trying to restore both worlds. As I said to my two friends, to my Protestant friend, if you joined our church, no pressure, but you're welcome to. Now, if you joined our church, you'd be very comfortable at church, because that's our Protestant side of the family. But you, my Catholic friend, if you joined the church, you'd probably be very comfortable in the temple. That's more of our Catholic side of the family coming through with its rich symbolism. And so and that's why, unfortunately, many Latter-day Saints who've grown up only familiar with the Protestant side of the family, as soon as they go to the temple for the first time and meet the Catholic side, the symbolic side, the deeply ritualistic side, it's so different. I can't believe mom and dad actually met each other and fell in love. Well, there's some reasons for that. But on this Catholic side of the family, on this high liturgy, on this symbolic side, this Jewish side, this Old Testament side, there's incredible reason for that, and depth and meaning. God is trying to stretch our souls, and it takes some stretching of the mind to get us there. But as we go and ponder and try to understand, to put those glasses on, see that symbolism is everywhere, and then think and ponder and pray and turn aside to see and ask the Lord to help peel away another layer of insight.
I love this, and it's exactly how I feel. And I think it's really important, especially with these huge influencers like particularly Alyssa Grenfell. I've seen quite a few of her videos that talk about how she realized that she was in a cult when she went through the temple, and that happens with a lot of people. And I think this highlights such a big issue that needs to be addressed. I think they were on the low liturgy side of it, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I personally converted from a Catholic background, so the adjustment for me, believe it or not, was going to sacrament meeting on Sundays. The hardest part for me still to this day is being okay with having my kids in the sacrament meeting, because growing up Catholic, you did not make a peep in that room. You did not. If mass was happening, no noise. And it's just so I was actually wildly more uncomfortable with going to sacrament meeting than I was going to the temple. Going to the temple, all of these things were like supernatural for me, stand up, sit down, put this on, do this, do that. And as a Catholic, I mean, to get the full story, okay, as a Catholic, I was an altar kid, right? So you put on certain clothes and you tie your little belt a certain way. You carry the book up and then you carry this up and you do things in a certain order and you make sure you do it in the right order. The priest wears different robes based on, what's going on and what part of the year it is and all that stuff. Um, you have your Advent wreaths and you light candles a certain way. And it's every single Sunday is you're doing all of these ritualistic, symbolic things every single Sunday. So to come to a church where it only happens when you go to the temple, it it threw me off a little bit. And I think that is really, really important because just the fact that it it was new for you and it threw you off and it completely turned you off of the church doesn't make it a cult. And I guess some people think like Catholicism is a cult, but they're very ritualistic and, like he said, Old Testament style. You're doing things that you have done for thousands of years. And we had Latin masses too. We did the Stations of the Cross, which, if you had never heard of church at all, like at all, and you walked into a Station of the Cross mass, that would be probably pretty culty. But being a part of the church, it's symbolic and it's beautiful. It lays out every stop that Jesus had when he was carrying the cross up to Calvary. And I mean, it is going to get you every time. You're going to cry like a baby. And it's just, and so understanding that there are perspectives here and these huge YouTubers who aren't offering the other perspective, it creates such a negative feeling for the church where the problem isn't the cultiness of the church. The problem is your skewed perspective of, these things. You had expectations and they weren't met because you weren't ready for it. Like he said, the symbolism, sometimes it goes completely over our heads. The symbolism of the Catholic Church went over my head for a long, long time, until I started learning more about it and being more not open to it, being more of a focused learner and actually trying to figure out what it was and what it meant. Because when you kind of just go along with things and don't take in the full understanding, if you step back, sometimes it does feel culty, because you're like, well, what the heck? What's even the point of that? I don't see, why do I have to stand up? Why do I have to kneel every time they talk about this and then stand up again, then kneel again, and then sit on the bench and then stand up? It's kind of like you're just whatever. You read more into it and you understand, okay, this is symbolic, this is what we're doing. And it's a game changer. And so to all of these people who are maybe anti-Mormon or ex-Mormon, or you're a part of the church but the temple really like weirded you out, I highly recommend giving at least part of this video a listen, because this is huge. It is huge. And that's been an interesting thing for me coming over as a Catholic, and just having a soft spot for symbolic church gestures. I didn't understand why people were calling the temple culty until he laid it out like this. And so I see it. I see the perspective there, and I urge people to give it a little more thought, kind of sit with it a little more and see it from a different perspective. So that's it. That's my take on this video. Again, his podcast is Unshaken and it is awesome. It's remarkable. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. And that's it. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow. And that's it. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.